looking for something fun to do, I recommend trying to piece together your parents' financial picture. Okay, I'm totally kidding, because that ranks up there with getting a colonoscopy, which I've never had, so honestly I don't know how bad that is, but I know how hard it is to try to piece together your parents' financial picture, because I had to do it with my mom after she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Such an important step to take though, because if you're going to be helping your parents with daily money matters, you need to know what bills they pay, what accounts they have, what assets they have, what sort of insurance policies they have. You need to have a really clear picture of their finances, but it can be a challenge, especially if you have a parent who's already experiencing any sort of cognitive decline, and perhaps that parent doesn't even remember the details himself or herself. Or your parent might be reluctant to share this information for you because your parent doesn't think he needs any help with his finances. And so I have some tips to make it a little bit easier to piece together your parents' financial picture. Ideally, you should be having conversations with your parents to get this information. You should be sitting down with them and making a list of their accounts, their usernames, their passwords, what sort of insurance policies they have, what sources of income they have. You want to get copies of their titles for property, their deeds for their house. You want to know what their mortgage payment is. You want to know everything. And so having this conversation with your parents, sitting down, spending several days, several weekends, doing this over a period of time to gather that information is ideal. But I know that's not always possible. And so if your parents don't necessarily want to sit down with you and share this information, or they don't know where it is themselves, I recommend starting with the mail. You could simply ask your parents to let you help them sort through the mail. Just let them know, hey, mom and dad, I'd love to help you go through your mail if you want to just kind of collect it for a week, and then I can come by and I'll sort the junk, and then we'll go through the bills, and I'll just help you stay on top of your bills. Make it an offer of help so it doesn't sound like you're snooping. And then as you sit down and you toss all the junk mail and you open up all the bills and all the statements they're getting, start making a list. And you could also let your parents know, hey, I'd love to help you set up automatic bill payments. And so again, you're offering help, but there's a benefit for you here. You're gaining access to information about your parents' accounts. Now, as you're going through that mail, pay particular attention to the bank statements. These are going to have a wealth of information. They're going to tell you what sources of income your parents have, if deposits are being made automatically. And I will tell you that Social Security benefits are deposited automatically. They are no longer sent by check, so that Social Security benefit payment should be showing up in your parents' bank statement. Maybe there's a pension payment. Maybe their bills are being paid automatically, or perhaps they're still writing checks. You're going to be able to see all of those payments that are being made and the income that's coming in on those bank statements. And so pay particular attention to those. That's going to be a wealth of information, like I said, about your parents' finances. You're going to also look for credit card statements. You're going to look for the bills they're getting for water, electricity, cable. You want to know the bills that have to be paid, and you want to make a list of those bills so that you can help your parents stay on top of them. Now, mail is one way, certainly a great way to get a lot of information about your parents' finances. Another thing you might want to try is sitting down with your parents and going through their email. Of course, this is going to take their cooperation unless you do happen to have their email login and they've already given you access to that, and you can sit down and do it yourself. But you want to look for perhaps any electronic statements for any accounts that they have set up to receive those statements by email, because they might not be getting everything by mail. So comb through the email to see what sort of electronic statements your parents are getting. And again, make a list of those accounts and those bills that are being handled by automatic debit, automatic transfer. Other things you might want to look for: notifications about subscriptions in the email. Your subscription is expiring, or you need to renew your subscription. Maybe they have a satellite radio service, or maybe they've got magazine subscriptions and they're getting notifications by email. And also, as you're looking through those emails, look out for subscriptions that maybe look a little bit suspicious too. Maybe they signed up for things and they didn't even realize what they were committing to, or they signed up for a free trial and now they're getting charged every month for a service and they might have forgotten about it. So pay attention to those things too. Credit card statements, those are really helpful. Again, if they have signed up for any sort of automatic payments and those are being paid automatically by a credit card each month, it's good to know. You're also going to be able to see how much they're spending with that credit card, whether they're carrying a lot of credit card debt. Another thing that's really important to know. You can also look through your parents' wallet and figure out, well, how many debit cards do they have? They might have debit cards from several different banks, and this is going to give you a clue as to how many different checking accounts they have if you're not able to go through their mail and see that sort of thing. Look for credit cards. How many credit cards are they carrying around with them? Do they have membership cards? This might be an indication of how many different membership services they signed up for. Social Security card might be in the wallet, which it shouldn't be, but it could be there and you need to take it out of the wallet. But make note of it. Write down their Social Security number. You're going to need this information. The Medicare card, if they have a Medicare Advantage plan through a private insurance company, take note of that too. The wallet can be a wealth of information about your parents' finances. Their checkbook. I mean, if your parents are still writing checks, look at the check register. You're going to see where the money is going, what bills they're paying, who they're writing checks to. Great source of information. And then you might really have to play detective by going through their desk, their drawers, if they have a filing cabinet. Go through their filing folders if they have them to look for insurance policies, to look for annuity contracts, to look for account statements for retirement accounts, for a pension, for brokerage accounts. Look for deeds to property. Look for that marriage certificate, the birth certificate. Again, look for the Social Security card if they didn't happen to have it stashed in their wallet, their Medicare card. The more information you can dig up, the better. And maybe this isn't stored in a drawer or a cabinet where you think it might be stored. It could be in a box, in a closet, under their bed, in the attic, in the garage. If your parents have more than one home, they might be keeping documents in that second home, and it certainly might be worth a trip to that second home, that vacation home they have, to go through the documents that they have there. You're really going to have to play detective in some instances to find all of this information. Another really good source of information about your parents' finances are their tax returns. And so maybe it's tax season and you can offer to sit down and help them with their tax return. And then you say to your parents, hey, do you have copies of your past year's returns? Hopefully they do. They should be hanging on to this sort of thing. That's going to give you clues to what their sources of income are. It's going to give you clues to any sort of real estate holdings they have, whether they have stocks because they might have some capital gains or losses or dividends. They're going to have that. Those past tax returns are going to show their sources of income. They might also report medical expenses that they are deducting and any other charitable contributions that they've been making regularly. Again, tax returns are a great source of information about your parents' finances. Their credit reports also are a really good source of information. They are entitled to get 3 credit reports, one from each of the 3 credit bureaus for free each year. You can go to annualcreditreport.com, sit down with your parents, log on, because you're going to need some of their personal information to actually log on to Annual Credit Report and get their credit reports. You're going to need their Social Security number. Typically, you'll be asked for questions about lines of credit that they might have, a mortgage, that sort of information. And so if you don't have that information already, you're going to need your parents' help in answering those questions. But you can encourage them, hey, mom and dad, let's go to annualcreditreport.com and get your credit report from 1 or 2 or all 3 of the credit bureaus so that we can check and make sure there aren't any sort of suspicious accounts. Because if there's an account in there that you don't recognize, that could mean that someone has stolen your identity and is using that to open accounts in your name. So you can use that to get your parents to sit down with you to look at the credit reports. You're going to want to comb through those reports. It's going to show you all the lines of credit they have, past lines of credit, and again, look for those suspicious lines of credit, things that your parents don't even recognize, because it could be a sign of identity theft. All of these are great sources of information about your parents' finances, but it can take time. It can take time to go to your parents' home, comb through the drawers, look through the closets, look through the attic, and you need to be prepared to take that time. And again, as you do this, I encourage you not to just come in and take over and say, hey, I need to gather this information. Make it an offer of help. I'd love to help you go through your mail to sort out the junk. I'd love to help you set up automatic payments. I'd love to help you with your taxes. I'd love to help you check your credit report for suspicious accounts that might be a sign that you're a victim of identity theft. I'd love to help you get organized. Just think of this as my Mother's Day gift to you, Mom. I know you've got a lot of boxes in the attic. I'd love to help you go through, maybe get rid of some of that stuff. Just, it's one less thing for you to worry about, and think of it as a gift from me to you. So make it an offer of help. Don't make it look like you're just simply coming in and trying to take over or snoop around, which in a way you are snooping around because you've got to get this information, but you don't want your parents to resist your efforts here. It's so important to get this information, because if there are accounts out there that you don't know exist, they can slip through the cracks. There might be a lot of money sitting in an account somewhere that you're going to need to help pay for your parents' care down the road, but if you don't know about it, then that money is just going to go to waste. And so important to take these steps to piece together your parents' financial picture. So good luck. It's not going to be fun, but it's important and you've got to do it.